phase of global capitalism. I mean, in addition to the now sort of Donald Trump instigated anti-globalization. But in effect, I mean, the global economy has been slowing down, and very notably so in Asia. And we are going into a sort of slow growth situation, and even with, a friend of mine recently just told me that I would say, I mean, I've been thinking about how the baby boom generation in Asia has had it too good for a long time. I mean, because of the long span of capitalist development from the 1960s, 50s onward up to the Asian financial crisis. So the baby boom generation had very steady jobs, very quick upward mobility compared to their parents' generation, and if they were smart enough, has accumulated a lot of assets and wealth. The inequality of wealth is actually part of that accumulation process. Each cohort of post-baby boom generation economic conditions and economic future has become increasingly more bleak rather than better. So I was having this friend was saying, yeah, it's a one generation Ponzi scheme. I mean, basically, the wealth that has been accumulated is now increasingly built actually on the debt of the younger generation. In terms of my own work on housing, this is very, very clear. I tell my students, if you're not going to inherit a flat, okay, in Singapore it's not so bad because the government guarantees you a flat. I mean, it's become, although the government wouldn't admit it, but it's become civil rights. I mean, every Singaporean feels entitled to a public housing flat. And the government does make it actually very easy because the recent budget just is going to give away to new couples, first-time buyer of a resale flat, which is more expensive than new flat, an additional $110,000 cash grant towards buying the flat. That's about, even if you buy at a very high end, about 25% of the cost. So the government will give you 25% for the flat. So, but in other areas, in other places like Taiwan and Hong Kong, it's very obvious that if you're not going to inherit a flat, you might never see ownership at all. And you will be in what is now leading housing experts call the rent generation, or generation rent. And so, in addition to that, the slow growth situation meant that a lot of the unemployment among youth is particularly high. In Hong Kong, in Hong Kong, it's not as bad. In Singapore, actually, it's still very good because, according to university report, most of our graduates still get work within 6 months of graduation, 3 to 6 months of graduation. But in Taiwan, it's now minimum wage. The government introduced minimum wage to encourage employers to hire young graduates, but the government typically the employers that make the minimum wage the maximum wage. So it's like 22,000 NT, which is about $1,000 a month, which is completely impossible. The same is happening in Taiwan. I mean, in Korea, they're called the 80,000 won generation. So I mean, these places are, the conditions are such that media has actually created names for them and identifiable categories of people. So in a way, my sense is that the kind of politics that has appeared in terms of the most recent one, the Hong Kong umbrella movement and the Taiwan Sunflower movement, the Hong Kong occupying Central and the Taiwan occupying legislative yet. And also the sort of continuous demonstration that is going on in Korea against the current president. A lot of that participation by